Hi, welcome to the Liverpool Community Podcast. I'm your host, Chase Johnson Lynch. And once again, we're here with someone from the community that I feel that you'll be interested in hearing from because I'm interested in hearing more about and everything. So today we're joined by Jill Barlow of Jigsaw Coaching CIC. How you doing, Jill?
Hi Chase, good to meet you.
Now, Jill, I got to tell you, what's interesting about what you do when we were talking is because as a coaching option or service, right, is that like you said it's mostly about like life coaching. Now, I've come across life coaching a lot being here in Liverpool, but I'm kind of like, what is life coaching? And I would think that maybe our audience would benefit from knowing exactly what are we talking about when we're talking about life coaching.
Well, basically, coaching gives somebody a chance just to reflect on what they're doing, what's happening, maybe look at their dreams and ambitions, what would they like to achieve, consider the barriers in their way.
Yeah.
And coaching provides a safe, confidential environment where just people feel able to speak honestly about where they're at. People might chat to friends or family, but they may be wary about saying certain things, or the friend or family might say, "Oh, you should do this, you should do that." Whereas coaching just is basically a space where they just to say what they think. And my job is more to ask questions, to encourage them to think further, maybe gently to challenge if they come up with some very negative thoughts about themselves, for example, maybe to unpack that and explore that, but just give them a chance to really think through what's the best thing for them.
But see, also too, when you say negative thoughts, we're in Liverpool, so a lot of people have negative thoughts about themselves because obviously your past dictates your present, doesn't it? You must experience that. Um, how do you help them through that process? Because banging down that door to their basements must be, really hard. So do you do it more with a gentle touch or, more of a firm touch?
Mainly gentle, but it really depends on the person. It's
Mm.
not therapy, so I must say that I don't do therapy with people,
So,
but
right.
it's
So
but
that's what
it's
I think
yeah
we need to make clear.
yeah
You say about life coaching, training,
it's,
whatever,
yeah
stuff like that. So
it's
go
not
ahead.
therapy. But I think, as I say, it's what's really important is that safe environment where people feel they can say what they want. It's my job also to create that environment that people can trust me and say
Mm.
what's on their mind. So we speak over several sessions, maybe 6 sessions, once a week, something like that.
Yeah.
People to get to feel that they can say what they want. There's no ridicule. There's no
Mm.
questioning. No challenge. No, challenging just gently, really, but for their benefit. I think when people can express, they say things. Oh, I'm really not good at that. I might say, well, what gives you that impression, or what's something that you are good at. I think it's gently helping them to change how they see themselves. And I think
Mm.
it's just can be really powerful over time. It does need to be the person's willing to change, because I think somebody's absolutely entrenched to where they're at. That's not going to make any difference. But if
Yeah.
somebody wants to do something differently, wants to get a different life, achieve a different goal, and they're willing to work with me, then that can really make a big difference.
So, would you say it's best on a one-to-one service or in a group setting?
It's actually better both. I've done over the last few years a few projects where, excuse me, when I've coached somebody for a few sessions to get to know them and they know me. But then if I bring together a small group, say 4 or 5 people,
Mm.
that can be really powerful, because the people then just talk about their experiences, and somebody else in the group
Any
might
benefit
benefit.
from that?
Yeah,
Yeah,
they hear what
exactly.
that person's done. They've been through similar struggles, and something one person's done to help them could help somebody else. Equally, what somebody else says could help that person. So
Yeah,
I think it's that sharing is very powerful. But you have to
yeah,
create the safe environment first, and
it's
then it
true.
just really makes a big difference. It's nice to see.
Well, now basically also too, for those that are here in Liverpool, you're based in one of our kind of cozy little uh, mecca areas, the Baltic Creative
Mhm.
and everything. But you also, so in that area, you're running workshops.
Mhm, mhm.
And so basically, these workshops, would you call them life coaching workshops? Because you say that the workshops are around barriers, breaking down barriers, what you say.
Yeah, we just explore different issues. So, I mean, a couple of projects I've done about helping people find a better sense of direction. So, people are unemployed, maybe with a health condition or disability. So, we'd look at where they're at now, where do they want to be, what are their aims or dreams or ambitions, what's stopping them getting there where they want to, and what practical things they can do, and what support they need as well. So, practical things they can do improve their confidence, talk to other people, maybe try volunteering. And then maybe I can help them find training courses, or I can put them in touch with an organisation who can support them in finding a way forward. So I think it's practical in lots of ways, really.
So I mean, but so I'm trying to get into like a little bit of specification in there where, because we talked about a word that's just recently come into my zeitgeist, as well, I'm sure, as other people's zeitgeist, which is like, say, one of the topics was imposter syndrome.
Mm-hmm.
Now that, that word is out there, everybody's saying, oh, I think I have imposter syndrome or whatever. Can you tell us or inform us a little bit? What is imposter syndrome?
I think it's when you just don't feel you're good enough. You feel that you're putting on a front, and maybe
Mm.
you're getting through and you're getting away with it, but anytime now you're going to be found out. I think it's very
Wow.
common. I've heard that it's 70% of people feel about that at
Yeah,
some point.
exactly.
I think it's people, if you've got very high standards, you think you've got to be the best, do the best all the time. And then you can't give away anything. If you're struggling or finding it hard, if you tell somebody, you're giving away your secret, if you like. So it's very isolating. So I'm very interested in I run a business myself, and I'm
Yeah.
interested in the people who run businesses. And sometimes they feel overwhelmed with the business. They've got loads of work on. They've got to wear all sorts of different
A lot of
hats.
pressure, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, you've got to deal with the staff, the suppliers, the customers, the finances. So
And
it's
then
a
you
lot
start
of
to get
different
worried
things.
that
Yeah,
this is not me,
yeah,
or
yeah.
why me, or
Or
can I
just I'm
handle this?
surviving, but only just any minute now somebody's going to say you're not good at this because you
Yeah,
can't do X,
yeah.
you can't
How'd you
do
get in
Y.
charge of this?
Yeah, yeah. And what do you
Yeah.
think you're doing, type thing. So I think it's a real fear, and it can really add to the pressure somebody feels. I think running a business is stressful anyway. But what I'm trying to do is just getting a few people together, so maybe 6 to 8 people, and just say, look, let's just talk about it. I suffer from it. I know what it feels like. Let's
Mm.
explore the issues. Let's look at some facts and figures. Let's look at how it feels. Let's share some experiences. How do people deal with it? How does it really affect you in a negative way? And what have you done about it? And what could we as a group decide is good to do about it to make you feel better?
Is this what you got coming up in the autumn? You were saying.
Yeah. So there's a series of workshops under the theme Strong Foundations. So there's one about imposter syndrome. Another one is how to prioritize when everything's a priority. Because again, as a small business, you're just thinking, what do I do first?
Let's say that again because you're speaking kind of fast.
Okay.
How to prioritize when everything's a priority?
Yeah. Yeah.
Say
So
that,
everything.
did I get that right?
That you got it spot on. Yeah.
Oh wow, I rarely do that. So let's say it again because I don't know what I said.
How to prioritize
Yeah.
when everything is a priority.
Wow, I just wanted it clear for people because that's cool.
Yeah, yeah.
And
So
so-
really, as I say, you've got all sorts of things need doing. So paperwork, talk to clients, deal with suppliers, look at the finances. You've got everything shouting out for attention, and it can feel overwhelming. And you feel again, you're like a sort of hamster on a wheel. But there are some small things. I think first of all, talking about it and saying, look, this is okay to feel like this. What can you do? And just some small things. Just some small, I'm not saying I've got all the answers, but if I talk about a few different possibilities that people can try and people share things they've tried which help, it is really powerful, the difference it makes. It makes people feel they're not so alone. There's other people feel as they do. And actually some of the things they're doing are actually pretty good. And they may get a few extra tips as well.
Nice one. Well, Jill, usually around this time, I ask people, what is your origin story?
So my
Your origin story.
origin
Like,
story.
how'd you get involved in this project and why?
Well, back in 2015, I was in a job I wasn't really enjoying. It wasn't really using my skills, so I didn't feel very satisfied. So I was looking for a new direction. And I just happened to see a 2-hour coaching taster. So somebody was offering coaching training. They said to come along for a couple of hours just to see what's involved. And I thought, well, I'm interested in that, but what happens if I can't solve somebody's problem? So I was a bit wary.
Wow.
But I went along to this taster, and I just thought, wow, it's just really interesting. And I found out that I don't need to solve people's problems. I just need to create the space that they can actually sort it out
Solve
for
it
themselves.
for themselves.
So I signed up then and there for the training. And then I did some advanced training. And then I decided I was going to set up a business, so I decided on the name Jigsaw. And then I was working with various people, and I was talking to somebody who is part of Bradbury Fields, who work with people with visual impairment. And we agreed that coaching would be beneficial, particularly in the area of employment, because I think only 1 in 4 of people with a visual impairment and at working age are actually in work. So there's all sorts of barriers. Sometimes it's just there really aren't the right jobs at all. Sometimes employers are very wary. Sometimes there's costs involved. Sometimes it's confidence as well. But we set up a project back in 2019 to try and make that difference. And the funding from that enabled me to leave the job and start Jigsaw for full time.
Wow. I mean, like now we kind of talked about this. Jigsaw is a very interesting name, and you also thought it was an easy name. Well, why Jigsaw?
It's sort of a neutral name. It doesn't assume anything really. It's a friendly name. It's a rememberable name. It's quite distinctive. I've got a very distinctive orange logo. You can talk about pulling the pieces of your life together. You mentioned about a puzzle of life and so on.
The
So
puzzle of life.
you got that side of things as well, that sort of creative side. But I think it's a friendly, welcoming name. That's the idea.
Yeah. Well, I said, hey, let me help your marketing team out. Jigsaw, building a better you. Right? You like that, though, don't you? Yeah, if I see that on your advertising, I'm going to be looking at my bank statements. No, I'm kidding. But no, I just think it's just really cool because a lot of people, I wouldn't even want to say that they're broken, but a lot of people, you know, it's like what we said about imposter syndrome, don't feel complete, and everything. So if you look at a jigsaw on the table and it's all about the pieces, helping people put those pieces together to form the proper image and stuff. So that's why I like it. I think it's great and stuff. So you mentioned a couple of times about VI, which is visual impairment. So you've been doing a lot of work around this. With I think you're doing a project that is like a year long. This VI well-being work. Can you tell us more about that?
Yeah, so really it's funded by the Health and Wellbeing Fund. It was initiated by Liverpool Clinical Commissioning Group. It's now part of the NHS Merseyside and Cheshire. But they were looking at groups, how could different people work with groups to build confidence, improve well-being, greater social connections. And I said I'd like to work with the eyes on this. And I think that the link to work is important. Not everybody wants to go to work, and that's fine. But I think some people are curious about what are the opportunities. So I offer a program of one-to-one coaching if people want it, advice sessions. We meet monthly at Bradbury Fields with different speakers and different topics. We offer support with digital skills training. So there's a guy called Paul Ryan who runs his own business, and he supports VIs with how to use their phone, their tablet, and their computer better. Sometimes it's done in a workshop setting because somebody might ask a question, how do you do that? And everybody else benefits from that as well.
And then you say that it's like sometimes it can be like the simplest things, and people didn't realize, I do have a problem with that. So because you put them in the environment that they can actually see, I could use this support.
There was a great example. There was somebody a couple of years ago, he'd only lost his sight a few months before, and he came along to a workshop and somebody was asking about using Google Maps, and he hadn't realised how detailed and up-to-date it was. So it really made a big difference to it because he was more able then to catch buses and find out how to get places. So it really gave him greater...
What, did it have like an audio function or something?
I think so, yeah, if you get the headphones and so on.
Yeah.
But I think the guy who runs this, Paul, is visually impaired himself, so he's got a real understanding of what's needed, and he does a great job. So that's really positive, really. So.
No, definitely. So, like along that line, I was asking you, like, did you happen to have any success stories or favorite stories? And this also involved a visual impairment person. Can you tell us about that?
One of the guys I worked with 2-3 years ago, I think it's fair to say his self-confidence wasn't so good. He was quite self-critical. So I did some work with him and to try and tackle that, really. And he really responded to him, worked hard, put the time in. And he's now, a couple of years later, as he trained as a coach himself, and he runs his own business and supporting people to improve their confidence. So that's just a really nice effect, really. And it's great to see him working.
Because I think we kind of cleared up. It's a good way to pay it forward, isn't it?
Yeah.
And stuff. I've learned something, and that I could do something, but then now I'm working towards helping others pass that on. It becomes like a chain.
Yeah, if you believe in someone, they start to believe in themselves, and then they impact on others, and it is a great experience to see, really. I think also I just like to find opportunities for people. So somebody else I'm working with, he said to me he's really interested in music, and he's recorded his own song in Arabic. So I put him in touch with somebody I know who's involved with the Africa Oye Festival. So he actually volunteered and he actually got to meet all the artists. He was behind the stage working with
Wow,
them.
that's
And he was
great.
great. He's now got some more opportunities to work with other musicians perhaps. So
Yeah.
it's giving people the right opportunity to help them flourish. That's what I'm interested in
Indeed.
doing, really.
I mean, that's indeed true. You know, I was saying, like one of my fascinations in starting this podcast all the way back then was like with people who were visually impaired. So I was like really curious about how much work that you've done in this area because I was thinking that I'm being American. I mean, how many times can I mention that, right, Phil? But like, I love old time radio. I love that whole, this is the Adventures of Superman. It's a bird, it's a plane, and stuff. But being here in England for like over 20 years, you got the Archers. My man Phil over there listens to BBC Sounds, whether I want to or not. So like the whole deal is the fact that it's not something that takes sight. It just takes the willingness that you want to act and perform. So everybody wants to do something. So it's like in that aspect is that you know the opportunity is there. So then when I was saying that to you, you was telling me about creatability. You talk about that.
So that's the project I'm running at the moment. It's been funded by the Inclusion Fund, I think, run by LCVS.
The Inclusion Fund.
I think it's Inclusive Communities Fund, I'm not sure exactly. Community Renewal Fund, perhaps. So the idea is really that I've seen with my own work that if you bring in creativity, people might be a bit wary to start with, and it's not their natural thing. But if you provide resources, they have a go, they really enjoy it. There's research to say it actually uses different parts of the brain. I think it's just a really good thing to bring in, really. So I designed a project, and it's a collaboration with Collective Encounters, and they've got a specialism in encouraging people to participate and just making a safe environment and bringing in all sorts of ideas. So we've run, we're running 3 workshops where Collective Encounters run them. Improvisation, movement, storytelling, poetry. People didn't know what to start with, but they've all thoroughly enjoyed it, and they've really felt it's really helped their confidence and self-belief. So I just think anything to do with creativity is really great. The idea of radio, I've got a couple of people who would be interested in podcasts, and people don't know what they're capable of until you give them a chance. So it could be other people could take part, and who knows where it goes, really.
No, exactly. I mean, it sounds fantastic, Jill. I mean, like what Jigsaw is doing, they've been around since like, as you say, 2017, and everything, going from strength to strength. But obviously, as a CIC, they need funding, and I mean, because that's how you survive is on grant funding. But you also seem to have these workshops that are going on that are going really great. So basically, you said you were like one of two other directors?
It's 3 directors, yeah.
Yeah, 3, yeah, and everything like that. So usually I always kind of like, hey man, shout out to directors because they're going to watch this and wonder why their name's not in it. What about me, Jill?
Well, one of my directors is Francisco Carrasco, and
I know Francisco.
Well, yeah, he knows everybody. He's Luma Creations, so
Luma Creations,
a great resource. He's incredibly creative. It's just really inspiring working with him. So
great guy, Luma Creations. Yeah.
Another guy, a friend of mine, Alan Wilson. So he was a paralegal years ago. He also ran Outreach Sailing, which was a community interest company using a sailing boat to encourage people to have a go again. That's great in building confidence. So I've known him
a lot
years,
of people here in Liverpool seem to have these houseboats. They seem to think, hey, it's great to live in a houseboat, but
I think you can't beat sailing. I mean, we used to go sailing on the Mersey. We took people with vision impairment. We took people with community confidence issues. It was a great story Alan told where he took out a group from a community group, and there was one little kid about 6 or 7, and he was really nervous, really anxious, and really uncomfortable. By the end of the hour on the Mersey, he was on the helm. He felt like he was the boss, and it was fantastic how he changed over that time. So,
well, it's just that I got a friend who has a boat, and it happened to one time he took his boat out, and had a video playing, and it happened to be one of those rainy, windy days.
Yeah.
And it wasn't a good day for boat sailing, So, but I'm pretty sure it's mostly calm most of the time.
Yeah.
Yeah,
When
yeah,
it's great, when the weather's out, when the weather's good, and when the sun's
yeah.
out, it's great. You can't beat it.
So yeah, so those are your two directors. So Jigsaw, like I said, is a local coaching company, and they're out there. And what's coming up is like more workshops. Yeah.
Collaborations, I mean, I think they're really important. I mentioned before
Mm.
collective encounters. I work with other organisations as well. Um, very interested in the collaboration with Kindred. So that's all
Oh,
about
Kindred.
social
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
investment.
We were
Yeah,
talking with Kindred
yeah.
and stuff like that.
It's a really great idea. So the idea is city region. It's trying to move towards a kind of fairer economy. And Kindred it gets funding from various investment organisations and from the city region.
Yeah,
And
yeah,
that offers money and invests
yeah.
in
They got a lot of money here.
organisations, and then the organisation flourishes, and then everybody benefits. So, but I
Mm.
think they've recently launched the directory. So again, organisations can get in touch, and we can
Yeah.
collaborate and work together, and that's always good. So hopefully, partnerships out of that would work well as
Yeah,
well.
and partnerships, Big Condo, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
It's
you never
always
know.
good.
Yeah.
It's always good and everything. So, well, Jill, like I said, it's been fascinating talking to you. Um, if anybody wanted to find out about your workshops, do you have a website or social media handles that you want to give out?
Yeah. So the social media handle is Jigsaw CIC, and the website is www.jigsaw.uk.net. It's being redone at the moment, so give it a month or so, but it'll be good when it's complete.
Or check it out now when it's
Check
under
it out now and
construction.
compare it to the new one.
No. Great. And so anyway, I'd like to thank my guest, Jill Barlow, for joining me here in the studio to let us know about Jigsaw. Let us also know about opportunities that are out there and everything. And, hopefully you had a good time. I'm Chase Johnson Lynch, and you've been watching the Liverpool Community Podcast. And for now, we out of here.